Ignorance is bliss.
Every character in The Matrix is celebrated for choosing the truth. Neo takes the red pill. Morpheus dedicates his life to the real world. Trinity follows love into war. The entire trilogy is built on one moral foundation. That truth, however brutal, is worth the cost. Cipher is the only person who looked at that foundation and asked the question nobody else had the courage to ask. Worth it to whom? The film frames him as the traitor, the coward, the cautionary tale about what happens when a man chooses comfort over conscience. But strip away the framing and what you find underneath is the only character in the first film who makes a genuinely free choice, with full knowledge of what he's choosing, full understanding of what he's giving up, and 9 years of hard evidence to support his conclusion. And the worst part? The architect proves him right 2 films later. His real name is Reagan. That is not an accident. Reagan, the president synonymous with the decade of excess, of comfort chosen over consequence, of optimism built on deliberate avoidance. His alias is his philosophy. The Wachowskis named him before he opened his mouth. The canon establishes that Cipher has been unplugged for 9 years. 9 years of gray protein paste served in a metal bowl. 9 years of cold corridors and recycled air, and a war that shows no signs of ending. He didn't wake up one morning and immediately reach for the phone to Smith. He endured, he believed, he fought. And then, somewhere in the middle of nearly a decade of grinding reality, he reached a conclusion that the film never gives him room to fully argue. He tried the truth. The truth wasn't enough. Later, during the betrayal sequence on the ship, he tells Trinity exactly what that 9 years produced.
I'm tired, Trinity. I'm tired of this war. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of this ship.
This is not a man who flinched at the red pill. This is a man who swallowed it, lived inside the consequences for 9 years, and concluded that the cost was wrong. Every other member of the Nebuchadnezzar found something in the real world worth suffering for. Morpheus has prophecy. Trinity has love. Tank and Dozer were born free. The real world is the only world they've ever known. Cipher found nothing, and 9 years of finding nothing is its own kind of answer.
I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
Cipher delivers this to Neo as casual expertise. It isn't. It's a confession wrapped in small talk. He has trained himself to see the Matrix as a world of attractive women rather than a cage of electrical signals. Psychologically, he has been re-entering the dream while physically sitting in the real world. The man is halfway back inside before the betrayal even starts.
Why, oh why didn't I take the blue pill?
He says it like a joke. It lands like a joke. Neo smiles. The audience moves on, but that line, thrown away midnight over a drink that tastes like engine degreaser, is the most honest sentence anyone speaks in the entire first film. The joke is the only container he has found that's strong enough to hold a truth he's been carrying for 9 years without it destroying the room.
So you're here to save the world. What do you say to something like that?
He is not mocking Neo. He is asking, because he was once in that exact position, newly unplugged, full of purpose, looking at the real world with fresh eyes and a reason to fight. He remembers exactly what that felt like, and he remembers the precise moment it stopped feeling that way.
You see an agent, you do what we do. Run. You run your ass off.
9 years in the resistance. That is his wisdom. That is everything he has learned about fighting the machines distilled into one instruction: flee. He is not being defeatist. He is being accurate. And accuracy, in Cipher's world, is the only honesty left. The restaurant doesn't exist. The wine in his glass is code. Agent Smith sits across from him, wearing the face of a machine built to maintain the prison they're negotiating inside. Cipher knows all of this. He orders the steak anyway.
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist.
He opens his argument by conceding the entire premise. Full knowledge, no illusions. He is making this choice with more information than anyone else in the film makes any of their choices with, and he is still choosing the steak.
I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious.
The pleasure is real. The satisfaction is real. The electrochemical experience happening in Cipher's brain is identical whether the stake exists or not, and Cipher has decided, after 9 years of weighing the alternative, that the experience is the only thing that actually matters to a living person. This is a serious philosophical position. If consciousness is the seat of reality, and the Matrix produces consciousness that is indistinguishable from the real world, then the Matrix is real by every definition that affects a person who is alive inside it. The steak tastes like steak. The pleasure feels like pleasure. The alternative is gray paste in a metal bowl on a dying ship under a sky that humanity burned.
After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
9 years. That number carries the entire weight of the line. He is not a man who flinched on day one. He sustained the truth for nearly a decade, felt every cost of it, and arrived at this conclusion through sustained and painful experience. Morpheus offers the red pill as liberation. Cipher offers this line as the thing liberation actually looks like after 9 years, and the film never gives him the room to be right about it.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand?
This is the most revealing line in the negotiation. Cipher doesn't want to return to the Matrix with the truth hidden inside him. He wants the truth gone. He wants full erasure. He wants to be completely inside the dream, permanently, with no memory of the door he walked through. That is not the request of a man at peace with his choice. That is the request of a man who knows exactly how much knowledge costs and wants to stop paying it. The thing he is trying to escape is not the real world. It is the awareness of the real world while being forced to live in it.
I don't want to be rich. You know, someone important, like an actor.
The specificity matters. He doesn't ask for power over others. He asks for the experience of mattering, to be seen, celebrated, significant. 9 years of being one anonymous soldier in a war designed to be unwinnable has reduced his desires to this: to perform importance for an audience that believes the performance is real. It is the most human request in the film, and the Matrix, the machine prison, is the only thing offering to give it to him.
I'll get you what you want.
Morpheus.
Smith says it like a punctuation mark. The deal is done. The most valuable mind in the Resistance, the man whose faith holds the entire operation together, traded for a stake that doesn't exist and a life inside a dream. Cipher doesn't flinch. Here is what nobody talks about when they talk about Cipher's betrayal. Watch what he does in the ship sequence, the phone call with Trinity, the murders of Apoc and Switch, and compare it to what the Oracle does in her kitchen. The Oracle plants instructions inside predictions to manufacture the choices she needs. She uses language to preload decisions inside people who believe they're acting freely. It is the most sophisticated manipulation in the trilogy. Cipher does the same thing in the same film, in reverse.
I mean, if Neo's the one, then there'd have to be some kind of a miracle to stop me. Right?
He turns Trinity's own faith into a paralysis mechanism. If she believes the prophecy, she has to accept that Neo is protected. If she doesn't believe it, she has no argument against what Cipher is doing. Either way, she can't move. He has used the Resistance's own foundational belief as a weapon against the people who hold it.
Look into his eyes and tell me, yes or no?
The Oracle asks questions to open doors. Cipher asks questions to close them. The technique is identical. Use the target's psychology to manufacture the response you need. The moral direction is completely opposite. Cipher learned this by living inside the Resistance for 9 years. He watched how belief was managed and maintained and weaponized, and when the time came, he turned the method against the believers with surgical precision. He is not a man who stumbled into betrayal. He is a man who studied the people around him, identified every vulnerability, and executed a plan. The tragedy is that all of that intelligence, that precision, that psychological acuity was aimed at destroying the thing he once believed in enough to give 9 years of his life to. 2 films later, the architect tells Neo something that reframes every choice, every character in the trilogy ever made.
Function of the one is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program.
The resistance was a designed pressure valve. Zion was built by the machines. The prophecy was written by the Oracle as a management tool. Every rebel who believed they were fighting for freedom was performing a function the machines required them to perform. The truth Morpheus offered Neo, the real world, the war, the purpose, was another layer of the system. Cypher's instinct was correct. The rebellion was controlled opposition. The truth Morpheus sold was a prison with better aesthetics than the Matrix. He reached the right conclusion through betrayal. The heroes reached the wrong conclusion through faith. And the trilogy spends 2 more films slowly walking Neo toward the exact place Cipher already stood. The difference between them is not that one was right and the other wrong about the nature of the system. The difference is what they did with the knowledge. Neo found a reason to fight anyway, and in Revolutions, when Smith asks why he persists, Neo answers,
"Because I choose to."
Pure authorship. He fights because he decided to, not because the system requires it. Cypher's answer to the same question was, "I don't. I'm done. I want out." Both are free choices. Only one gets a hero's arc. But the film is honest enough, if you read it carefully, to show you that the hero's arc was itself engineered by the Oracle, built on a prophecy that was a control mechanism, aimed at an ending that the machines designed centuries in advance. Neo chose freely, inside a cage that was built around his psychology before he was born. Cipher chose freely too. The film just needed him to be wrong. Cipher sits in a restaurant that doesn't exist, eating a steak that isn't real, making a deal with a machine in a suit, fully aware of every layer of what he's doing. He cuts another piece. He chews slowly. He looks satisfied in a way that 9 years in Zion never made him look.
Ignorance is bliss.
He was never actually ignorant. He knew exactly what he was choosing and exactly what it cost. What he was really asking for, in that restaurant, in that negotiation, in that final desperate deal, was permission to stop carrying a truth that had given him nothing worth the wait. The Matrix calls him a traitor. The architect would call him a predictable variable. The Oracle probably saw him coming years before he picked up the phone. Cipher calls himself tired. And after 9 years of gray paste and cold metal, and a war designed to be unwinnable, in a resistance built on a prophecy that was always a control mechanism, that might be the most honest thing anyone says in the entire film.